If you've got the President of the United States threatening to sue the BBC for $1 billion, I think we could definitely use the word unprecedented.
Donald Trump threatens to sue the BBC for $1 billion over that clip of him that was edited by Panorama.
Everything was being lumped together, and the whole of BBC coverage seemed to be being tarred with the same brush, which was, it's all biased.
Trump's entire world is crumbling right now, and it's happening so fast that it's genuinely hard to keep track of everything falling apart simultaneously. The Trump organization could be on the absolute edge of bankruptcy. Creditors are circling. Banks are accelerating $450 million in loan calls. They want their money. Not next month, not next year, right now, today. And the most shocking development, Deutsche Bank could seize Trump Tower. Let that sink in for a moment. The building with Trump's name in giant gold letters across the front. The building that's been headquarters of his entire operation for over 40 years. The building that symbolizes everything he claims to have built. A German bank might take it, and that's just the beginning. JP Morgan Chase could foreclose on 3 golf courses. Doral, Bedminster, Turnberry. Citigroup might terminate the credit line secured against Mar-a-Lago itself. Every major financial institution that ever did business with Trump appears to be deciding that today is the day they pull the plug. And what we're watching could be the most spectacular business collapse in modern American history. If you want to stay ahead of the headlines, make sure to subscribe, because you might think you are, but aren't. Your subscription actually matters here. That's why we built Patrick Smith Show, to bring you real stories, real context, and no corporate spin. All right, let's get into what's actually happening. The timing of all this is not coincidental, and you need to understand exactly why the banks appear to be acting today of all days. This morning, Delta Force operator testified about Trump potentially ordering military strikes to proceed, despite abort calls from commanders on the ground. Then, General Schwartz, chairman of Joint Chiefs, revealed that Trump may have tried to order an invasion of Greenland. An entire senior military leadership potentially refused to comply. CCTV footage allegedly showing Trump destroying documents at Mar-a-Lago has been playing on every news network for days. Senate conviction vote count reportedly hit 82, which would be 15 more than needed for removal. Share this video with everyone you know, because here's what makes this absolutely devastating. Every single one of these developments could trigger clauses buried deep in Trump's loan agreements. These are called material adverse change provisions, and they allow lenders to call in their loans immediately if something happens that fundamentally threatens the borrower's ability to repay. Having Joint Chiefs testify that they potentially refused your orders would definitely qualify. Being days away from possible impeachment conviction would definitely qualify. Bank lawyers are looking at everything happening and collectively deciding that risk of Trump defaulting on his loans may have become certainty rather than possibility, so they could be pulling the trigger, all of them at the same time. The numbers here are absolutely staggering, and they paint a picture of what could be complete financial devastation from which there might be no recovery. Deutsche Bank's $330 million loan was secured against Trump Tower, and they may have initiated foreclosure proceedings to seize the building as collateral. JP Morgan Chase could be liquidating $120 million in loans secured against the golf portfolio. That would mean Doral in Miami, Bedminster in New Jersey, Turnberry in Scotland, all potentially under bank control, with receivers possibly appointed to sell them off as quickly as possible. Citigroup might have terminated $75 million credit line secured against Mar-a-Lago, and while they may not have initiated foreclosure yet, they've reportedly made clear that repayment is expected immediately. Think about what that means. Add all that up and you get $450 million in loans that were callable under normal circumstances over next several years, but could now be due today if impeachment clause is activated. Trump reportedly doesn't have $450 million in cash. Nobody has that kind of money lying around. And with his credit rating potentially at D for default, the lowest possible rating, no bank on earth would lend him money to refinance these obligations. He could be completely locked out of capital markets at exact moment when he needs access to capital more than ever before. Make sure you're subscribed to Patrick Smith Show, because Standard & Poor's potential downgrade to D would be particularly devastating because of what it signals to broader financial community about Trump's creditworthiness. A D rating means you're currently in default on your obligations. Means you've already failed to meet your financial commitments. It's credit rating equivalent of death certificate. Once you have D rating from S&P, you cannot borrow money from legitimate financial institutions. Period. Only lenders who would touch you are distressed debt specialists who charge loan shark rates and demand punishing terms because they know you have no other options. Trump built his entire business empire on ability to borrow money, leverage it into real estate deals, and refinance when things got tight. That business model could now be completely impossible. The leverage that made him wealthy might now be the leverage that's destroying him. Every dollar he borrowed is dollar that creditors are now potentially demanding back, and he may not be able to pay any of them. Insurance situation could be making everything worse too. Premiums on Trump properties have reportedly spiked 600% as insurers reassess risk of being associated with company whose owner might be about to be removed from office and potentially indicted on federal charges. Some insurers may have simply refused to renew policies at any price. Let me walk you through exactly what could be happening with each of these major assets because the details matter, and they illustrate just how thoroughly Trump's empire might be being dismantled piece by piece. Trump Tower is obviously the crown jewel, the building that put Trump on map in New York real estate back in 1983. For over 40 years, it's been headquarters of Trump Organization, location of his famous gold-plated penthouse, backdrop for countless magazine covers and television appearances. It's not just a building, it's symbol of everything Trump claims to represent. And now Deutsche Bank could own it. Or more precisely, Deutsche Bank may have initiated foreclosure proceedings that would transfer ownership to them unless Trump can come up with $330 million in next 30 days. He reportedly cannot. Everyone knows he cannot. The building that defined his identity could be seized by German bank because of loans he took out years ago that are now being called due. There's something almost poetic about man who ran on America first, potentially losing his most iconic American property to foreign creditors. But Trump probably doesn't appreciate the irony right now. Golf course situation could be equally devastating because those properties were supposed to be stable, cash-generating assets that kept rest of empire afloat. Doral in Miami is one of most prestigious golf resorts in country. Bedminster in New Jersey hosted major tournaments and was Trump's summer retreat for years. Turnberry in Scotland is historic links course that Trump purchased and renovated at enormous expense. Together, these properties represented hundreds of millions of dollars in value and generated millions in annual revenue from memberships, tournaments, and hospitality operations. All of that could now be under bank control. JP Morgan may have appointed receivers to manage properties, which would mean Trump Organization no longer has any operational authority over them. Trump name is still technically on buildings, but banks could be running the show. And their only goal would be to liquidate as quickly as possible to recover $120 million they're owed. Fire sale prices might be inevitable. Properties that might have fetched premium prices under normal market conditions could be sold for whatever buyers are willing to pay right now, and whatever banks don't recover from those sales might remain as deficiency judgment against Trump personally because he reportedly signed personal guarantees on these loans. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Mar-a-Lago presents unique situation because it's not just business property, it's Trump's primary residence and headquarters of his political operation. The $75 million credit line from Citigroup was secured against property itself, which means if Trump cannot repay that money, Citigroup would have right to foreclose on his home. Property has reportedly already been listed for distress sale at $800 million, which is significantly below what Trump has claimed it's worth on his financial statements. But even at $800 million pool of potential buyers is extremely limited. Who wants to buy property that's at center of multiple criminal investigations? Who wants to own house where president allegedly committed obstruction of justice on camera? Who wants to deal with security complications and media attention and general chaos that comes with purchasing former residence of potentially disgraced impeached president? Answer is very few people, and they all know Trump might be desperate, which means they would lowball him mercilessly. He might end up selling Mar-a-Lago for $500 or $600 million just to avoid foreclosure, and even that might take months to arrange, during which interest continues to accrue. and his financial position continues to deteriorate. Forbes released updated assessment of Trump's net worth today, and numbers are genuinely breathtaking in terms of how far he's fallen. They now estimate his net worth at negative $3.1 billion. That's not a typo. Negative $3.1 billion. He's not just broke. He owes billions more than he owns. Year ago, Forbes had him pegged as billionaire with net worth somewhere in $3 to $4 billion range. Now negative $3.1 billion. That's swing of over $7 billion in value destruction in single year. Most of it concentrated in last month as Venezuela's scandal exploded and banks pulled out. Think about what that means. To put that in perspective, very few people in human history have ever lost $7 billion in personal wealth in such short period of time. This is not temporary setback that some clever financial maneuvering can fix. This could be complete and total financial annihilation. Every asset he owns is either seized or about to be seized. Every loan he took out is either in default or about to be in default. Every revenue stream he relied on has been cut off. There might be literally nothing left. Need to talk about Trump's public reaction to all of this, because it was genuinely disturbing to watch and represents yet another example of him potentially falling apart under pressure. He called into Fox News this morning for what was supposed to be friendly interview, his safe space, network that's carried water for him for years, and he could barely form coherent sentences. His voice was cracking. You could hear desperation and confusion in his tone. He started rambling about his banks and how they would pay for what they're doing, and then he just trailed off mid-sentence and hung up. He hung up during live Fox News interview. Host sat there in stunned silence, not knowing what to say. Some commentators are interpreting his final words, "They will pay," as threat against banks. Others think it might have been beginning of some kind of resignation statement that he couldn't bring himself to finish. What's clear is that this is man who has potentially lost control of narrative and is watching everything he built disappear in real time. Bravado and bluster that defined his public persona for decades is gone. What remains is broken person muttering threats into telephone before hanging up on live television. But here's the thing. Broader economic context could be making Trump's personal financial disaster even worse because commercial real estate market is in terrible shape right now. And that's crushing value of his remaining assets. Manhattan office vacancy rates have reportedly hit 50% as companies continue to embrace remote work and reduce their physical footprints. Buildings that were worth hundreds of millions of dollars few years ago are now worth fraction of that. Interest rates are at 9%, which means even if Trump could find buyers for his properties, those buyers would need expensive financing that eats into what they can afford to pay. PDVSA oil chaos from Venezuela situation has reportedly pushed gas prices to $7 per gallon, which is fueling inflation and economic uncertainty across board. Nobody wants to make major real estate investments in this environment. Nobody wants to buy distressed Trump properties when Trump brand has become synonymous with constitutional violations and impeachment. Macro environment and Trump-specific disasters are combining to create perfect conditions for maximum value destruction. Everything that could go wrong is going wrong simultaneously. Bankruptcy filing could now be expected in next few days, and it might be Chapter 7 liquidation rather than Chapter 11 reorganization. Let me explain difference because it matters enormously. Chapter 11 allows company to continue operating while it restructures its debts. You negotiate with creditors, come up with payment plan, try to preserve business as going concern. Chapter 7 is complete dissolution. You stop operating entirely. Every asset gets sold off to pay creditors. Company ceases to exist. Now here's where it gets really complicated. Trump Organization, entity that Donald Trump has been building for 50 years, company that bears his name, vehicle through which he accumulated his fortune and built his brand, could be liquidated and dissolved. There might be no Trump Organization anymore. Trump name could be stripped from buildings around world as licensing agreements are terminated. Hundreds of employees who work for Trump companies might lose their jobs. Everything could be sold for parts to satisfy creditor claims, and based on current projections, there might still be $1.2 billion shortfall after all assets are liquidated. That shortfall could follow Trump personally for the rest of his life as creditors pursue whatever remaining assets they can find. Connection between this potential financial collapse and political collapse is not coincidental. They're feeding into each other in ways that create doom spiral with no escape. Impeachment proceedings may have triggered loan clauses that allowed banks to call in their debts. Bank withdrawals are now being cited by Senate impeachment managers as evidence of Trump's unfitness for office. Financial chaos could be spooking Republican donors who might otherwise be willing to fund efforts to support Trump-aligned candidates in midterms. Donor abandonment could be accelerating GOP defections in Congress. Congressional defections are making conviction more certain, which is making banks even more aggressive in their collection efforts. Round and round it goes, each element reinforcing others, each new development making next one more likely. Trump would need to somehow stop impeachment process and restore bank confidence and stabilize his political coalition all at same time. Odds of doing any one of those things at this point are essentially zero. Odds of doing all three simultaneously are less than zero. Share this video because impact on Republican donors and broader GOP financial ecosystem could be catastrophic, and party is facing existential crisis heading into midterm elections. Wall Street was already nervous about Trump after Venezuela debacle, but major donors were willing to stick around as long as there seemed to be path forward. That path might have disappeared today. Same banks that could be foreclosing on Trump's properties are banks whose executives write big checks to political campaigns. They're not going to fund candidates who defend a president whose businesses they're liquidating. Major Republican super PACs are reporting massive drop in contributions over past week as donors reassess whether they want their names associated with any of this. Polling projections for midterms have reportedly shifted dramatically. We're now looking at potential D+35 environment, which would mean Democrats picking up over 35 seats in House and potentially expanding their Senate majority significantly. Republican Party that Trump built could be being demolished right alongside his business empire, and there's no obvious path to rebuilding either one. Want to step back for a moment and talk about what all of this means in broader historical context, because we could be witnessing something genuinely unprecedented. Sitting President of United States is watching his business empire potentially collapse into bankruptcy while simultaneously facing certain removal from office through impeachment. His own banks may have abandoned him. His own party may have abandoned him. His own military leadership potentially refused his orders and testified against him to Congress. Every institution that's supposed to constrain presidential power could be functioning exactly as designed, and result might be most comprehensive destruction of presidency in American history. Nixon resigned before he could be removed, and his business interests were minimal. Clinton was impeached but acquitted, and his financial situation was never in jeopardy. No president has ever faced anything like what Trump could be experiencing right now. Simultaneous political destruction, legal jeopardy, and personal financial annihilation all happening at once in full public view. Think about what that means. Criminal implications of all this are significant, and prosecutors are clearly paying attention to everything that's unfolding. CCTV footage allegedly showing Trump destroying documents is already being used as evidence of obstruction. Delta Force testimony about Trump potentially overriding abort orders creates potential liability for decisions that resulted in deaths. Joint Chiefs testimony about Trump possibly ordering illegal military operations adds additional charges. And now financial collapse is raising questions about fraud. Specifically, whether Trump made false statements on loan applications about his net worth and asset values. Banks don't lend you hundreds of millions of dollars without doing due diligence. If Trump told Deutsche Bank that his properties were worth substantially more than they actually were in order to secure those loans, that would be bank fraud. Federal prosecutors could want to see those loan applications and compare them to fire sale prices that properties are now fetching. There could be years of criminal litigation ahead even after impeachment process concludes. Trump's legal nightmare might not be ending. It could just be beginning. Next week could be absolutely critical, and you need to stay locked in because events are moving faster than anyone can process. Bankruptcy filing might be expected soon. Senate trial could begin shortly. Conviction vote, which is now certain to succeed, might happen thereafter. Donald Trump could be removed from office by bipartisan supermajority of United States Senate, while his business empire is simultaneously being liquidated in bankruptcy court. Everything he spent 50 years building, towers, golf courses, casinos, brand, political movement, all of it could be destroyed in span of 2 weeks. This might be most complete personal and professional collapse in American history, and we're watching it happen in real time. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell because you don't want to miss a single moment of what comes next. Bottom line is this: Trump's empire crumbling, banks circling, $450 million in loans being called. Deutsche Bank could seize Trump Tower, JP Morgan might foreclose on golf courses, Citigroup could terminate Mar-a-Lago credit line. Trump reportedly doesn't have cash to pay. Credit rating potentially at D, cannot borrow from legitimate institutions. Built empire on leverage. Now leverage destroying him. Insurance premiums spiked 600%. Some insurers refusing to renew. Chapter 7. Bankruptcy could be coming. Complete liquidation. Trump Organization might cease to exist. Trump name could be stripped from buildings. Everything sold to pay creditors. Still $1.2 billion shortfall afterward. Forbes estimates net worth at negative $3.1 billion, lost $7 billion in year, not temporary setback, total annihilation. Fox News interview disaster, voice cracking, hung up mid-sentence, man falling apart, commercial real estate market terrible, Manhattan vacancy 50%, interest rates 9%, gas prices $7 per gallon. Nobody wants Trump properties. Macro conditions plus Trump disasters creating maximum destruction. Financial collapse feeding, political collapse feeding, financial collapse. Doom spiral, no escape. Banks calling loans triggers more impeachment evidence, triggers more GOP defections, triggers banks being more aggressive. Round and round. Republican donors fleeing. Super PACs reporting massive drop in contributions. Polling shows D plus 135 environment. Democrats could pick up 35 House seats. GOP built by Trump collapsing with his empire. No path to rebuild. Unprecedented in American history. Nixon resigned before removal. Clinton impeached but acquitted. No president faced simultaneous political destruction. Legal jeopardy, financial annihilation. All happening in full public view. Criminal prosecutors watching, CCTV evidence, Delta Force testimony, Joint Chiefs testimony, now bank fraud questions. Did Trump lie on loan applications? Told banks properties worth more than actually were. Fire sale prices will prove it. Years of litigation ahead. Legal nightmare just beginning. Next week critical. Bankruptcy filing. Senate trial. Conviction vote. Removal from office. Empire liquidated. 50 years of building destroyed in 2 weeks. Most complete collapse American history. Watching it happen real time. This accountability happening. System working. History being made. Trump's world ending. Not because of conspiracy, because of his own actions, his own lies, his own crimes, his own inability to follow rules. Banks don't seize properties for no reason. Credit ratings don't go to D without cause. Empire doesn't collapse overnight unless built on fraud. And Trump's empire was built on fraud, on lies, on inflated values, on borrowed money, on leverage, on reputation. All of it fake, all of it crumbling, all of it ending. This story continues. Stay tuned.